The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Well, hello. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
And I'm CJ.
And it is Friday, TGIF in the Riv. And rain coming, heavy rain. Be careful.
Yep, 1 to 3 inches I've heard.
Do not get washed away.
Stay out of Stafford Square.
Yeah, stay far away from Stafford Square.
I think that's going to go into the parking lots down there for Price Right. And
unless you have a kayak. Then you can,
yeah, if you got a kayak or
a
airboat.
canoe. Yeah, you can go to Stafford Square. Well, let's see. What do we have here today? We got a little bit of non-Riv news here. Andrade leaving as Portsmouth superintendent.
And for those who are wondering, Anna Riley is Kyle Riley's wife.
Okay, and she was making $165,000 as superintendent of schools, and she now has a job.
She is the deputy commissioner of instructional programs.
No salary attached to that one, but it's going to be in excess of $165,000, right?
Definitely, because nobody wants to take a cut and pay to do more work.
That's true.
Maybe she's going to be in charge of the headache known as Providence Public Schools.
Oh, God, who would want that job? There's not enough money. And it ends saying she was a science teacher at Durfee and the principal at the elementary and middle school levels. So apparently she moved on to...
She tried to get the job as a superintendent in New Bedford, but I guess she was the one of 4 finalists, but that didn't work out for her.
Well, we're glad to see someone from
hey, she's making it good. She's
so so I assume they're still living in Fall River.
Yes, they are.
Yeah, so good. Nice to see a Fall River person ascend the ladder of success, and
but
especially in the educational field.
But you know, with the number of children they had, they definitely needed to make $165,000 a year or more.
That's right. That's right. And
Good Catholic boy. Good Catholic boy.
Good Irish Catholic, huh? Let's see. And of course, the never-ending headline: Mayor Correia's criminal trial continued till May. Well, this will go on forever, and it's going
to be continued now until May 4th.
Yeah, but they said in response to approve the joint request from defense and prosecution, and the other people who pled guilty are awaiting sentence, and they've been waiting for a long time. There's 3 local men: Anton Costa, David Hebert, and Hildegard Camara, pleaded guilty for their roles in the alleged, well, I guess in their case it's not alleged.
It's no longer alleged. They said we did it.
In their part in an extortion plot, because I think that you don't have to put the alleged extortion plot.
Right.
Who was involved in the extortion plot is still, the jury's still out on the other 2. But the reality is we have confirmed there was an extortion plot because they pled guilty.
Right. I mean, so it's not alleged anymore, and
yeah,
but it is alleged for.
It's still an allegation for
the mayor and Jen Andrade.
For the mayor and Jen Andrade until they're proven guilty or innocent. So we do, in spite of maybe personal feelings, have to consider people innocent until proven guilty.
And from what I understand, and I may be wrong, so please don't quote me on it, there is a possibility that they will sever the trials between Jasiel and Jen, because Jasiel's facing 2 separate types of trials. He's He's facing the one for Snow Owl, and then he's facing the one for the extortion. So I think they're going to try to get her case, or they did get her case severed from the first arrest. And because she obviously had nothing to do with Snow Owl. But she's not severed from the second arrest. So.
Well, we'll see what happens. It's like the never-ending saga. This is like the soap opera. What's the longest-running soap opera now? General Hospital, I believe, is it the other one?
It's Days of Our Lives, I believe.
Days of Our Lives, yeah.
And they all just got their pink slips.
Days of Our Lives?
Yes, Days of Our Lives got their pink slips. Well, I shouldn't say they got their pink slips. They were released from their contracts.
So the last soap standing will soon be General Hospital, right?
No, General Hospital's not on anymore.
It isn't?
Nope, it's The Young and the Restless, and
Okay.
there's one other one.
I
don't watch soap operas that often.
I thought that General Hospital was still on, but maybe I'm wrong. Oh well, we got enough soap operas in Washington now going on.
And we got enough in Fall River.
And we got enough in Fall River now, the soap operas, and so we see what's going on in Washington, and I think they're on TV trying to assuage the people that are saying you're doing nothing, saying we passed 250 bills.
No, General Hospital is still on the air. I'm sorry. General
Is it?
Hospital is, yep. Young and the Restless and Bold and the Beautiful. That's the other two, and those are on CBS.
Okay, I never even heard of the Bold and the Beautiful.
Yeah.
The other one, the young and the Restless and Days of Our Lives, I've heard. God, my mother used to watch those things when I was a child. I remember she worked at Shelburne Shirt, and they used to come home for their half an hour lunch, and those soap operas were like 15 minutes long at the time.
Well,
they had all kinds of soap operas, but they could watch a soap opera for 15 minutes and then run back to work.
It seems the networks are moving away from the soap operas, and they're moving more towards talk shows. And
Yeah, well,
I really don't like a lot of the talk shows. But what is really interesting is on Days of Our Lives, which is NBC, they were released from their contracts, but they taped their shows 8 months in advance. So that's going to go at least until sometime in 2020, and then they'll decide if they're going to continue on or if they're going to let it have a graceful exit from the market.
Well, as you said, I'm not, there's so many talk shows, they're becoming
Nauseating.
Yeah, it's kind of mundane and routine, and we've got enough. And because the reality is, I think we should keep soap operas, because the soap opera that's going on in our government in Fall River and in Washington is the soap opera that should end. They should all get their pink slips. What do we keep saying on this show? Drain the swamp, vote them all out. They should all get pink slips up there. I saw one of the congresswomen saying, we've passed 200 and some bills and blah, blah, blah. Half of those bills are innocuous. They don't mean anything. Tell me what you passed about pharmaceutical drugs. Zero. Tell me what you passed about actual military spending, major stuff. Zero. How many major bills have you passed since this never-ending crusade, which, by the way, they've already gone on record saying this. If this impeachment doesn't work, there's more to come. They're just going to keep going. I mean, it's ridiculous.
And
the hell with the voters.
Right.
It's kind of like the Democratic Party when Bernie Sanders was leading the pack, and they basically came out and told all the Democrats, and why they remain Democrats is beyond me. When they told them all, we don't care if you want Bernie. Hillary's getting a nomination because the superdelegates are going to override you. There's a real democratic process, huh? The Democrats had a real democratic process. We don't care who you want.
You'll get who we want you to
You're
get.
going to get who we want, the political arm of the party. So that kind of flies in the face of the point of their party, doesn't it? The Democratic Party in a democratic society, or supposedly democratic. But I think it's getting to the point where, well, their ratings are lower than the soap operas. These latest hearings are they're just totally tanked.
Hey, I just got a news break for you.
Uh-oh, news break.
The Massachusetts is actually going to pay attention to the voters.
No.
Yes, income tax rate is dropping to 5% on January 1st, 2020.
Wow.
Statutory income tax lowering process now completed. And I got that directly from the governor's office, so.
Directly from the governor.
Yep.
You're mainlining. You're right,
Yep.
from the governor's office. But hey, it is what it is, and
Based upon certain state revenue milestones, and will return $88 million in fiscal year 2020 and approximately $185 million in fiscal year 2021 to the taxpayers.
But by the way, we'll raise your gas tax and put tolls on the roads.
That's right.
By the way.
Just
yeah,
so
so
you
don't
know.
worry about it.
We'll drop the tax down by 0.05.
We're going to make a major headline. You're going to save about $72 on your taxes.
But you got to pay $172.
You're going to pay $172 in a month in gas taxes and tolls.
It's kind of like Medicare and Social Security, a 1.6% increase in Social Security benefits, but there's a 2-point-some-odd% increase in Medicare fees. So you never can win, people. You never can win.
No, not with the politicians. And I have to say that we had our retirees, our December meeting. We always have a little Christmas party, and with gourmet food like chicken salad sandwiches and ham salad sandwiches and seafood salad sandwiches. But
Did it come from a good restaurant at least?
liberal club.
The Liberal Club, yeah.
Liberal club, yeah. We have our meetings, our monthly meetings at the Liberal Club, and they always do a good job. Yeah. And it's always the most well-attended meeting. There are some people I only see on Christmas meeting because free food. But Mayor-elect Paul Coogan showed up. He was invited, and he did show up, and as did the representatives from the Y to talk about the deal with the Y that we've gotten for city employees and retirees. And we had somebody else, and you've been a guest speaker there. You know how it works.
I know how it works.
And Mayor-elect Coogan was, he very short speech because he had another appointment. He's busy, obviously. But he recounted a little story, I guess, and everybody heard it, so it's public. He said that he was he had an interaction with somebody looking for a letter of non-opposition for a marijuana distributing place, and they asked him, is there anything we can do for you? Which is an open-ended kind of like, you wonder why there's extortion when you make a statement like that.
Exactly.
People who are dishonest will take advantage. Yeah, there's plenty you can do for me. And, the mayor-elect said to the body that his response to that was, I have a few homeless shelters that you can donate food to. He said, I don't even care if you ever come to one of my fundraisers. He said, but you can do some good for the community, which I thought was nice. It went over, the people were real happy with that. And of course, then he reiterated that there will be no extortion during his administration, or alleged.
Did he get into the marijuana issues at all? Did he talk about more letters of non-opposition? I had a conversation with him on the phone because a local businessman who's had his property values reduced over 10 years formed a company to sell cannabis. And he has never, according to Paul, he has never approached him as of yet. Unless he's approached him since I had the conversation with him, I don't know. But he said that he was looking at if he can revoke some of the letters of non-opposition that have already been issued. And he believes that we need to streamline some of those licenses and how many that we have. I don't know how accurate that will be, or if he's going to be able to revoke letters of non-opposition. I suggested he contact the Cannabis Control Commission to find out, because I know they put a hold on all of those letters, and if they've possibly gotten rid of them. Now, there's also the question of whether Northeast Alternatives in any way participate in the alleged extortion by Jasiel Correia. And while they claim no such act happened, I believe one of the witnesses said that they acted as the go-between for the principal of Northeast Alternatives and the mayor. So, and if the Cannabis Control Commission finds that out, they're going to get shut down. Not that the neighbors in that neighborhood would be upset about that.
Oh, God, because I know people who go by there every day, and they say it's always a nightmare. It's too bad. No, but his comments were basically, thanking the retirees for their support, and he just made that as an aside. I think more not to discuss that,
right,
but to show basically where that he intends to keep his promises about honesty and integrity in government. And if it's true, I think that's a very, very good idea. Whether we can control the number or not is another issue. I'm not sure. But I think we can. At least my opinion is. I don't know if there's going to be a legal challenge that we can have, But since they require letters of non-opposition, but I think it was really a nice message to send, that rather than looking to grease his pockets, that he's looking for them to contribute to the community, which is a nice thing, because those people make a lot of money, and it'd be nice if they could contribute something back to the people of Fall River who are needy and in areas. Because, let's look at casinos. Casinos are always condemned for, they bring in crime, but, they take all your money, but so do scratch tickets at the local corner store, because you can go down and spend your entire paycheck. But
so does Mega Millions.
But big casinos, especially like Foxwoods and stuff, they subsidize local police and fire. They earmark money for them because they realize that they have to contribute something, because they will get they will need fire protection, mutual aid, and they do need the police occasionally to supplement their security. And they contribute to that aspect, and they also contribute to gambling addiction programs. And if you walk into a casino, of course, if you're a gambling addict, you don't pay attention to that, but you walk in, it'll tell you if you've got a gambling problem, call a number. And they do actually make contributions, but I think it's nice to know that, when these businesses are coming in, that we're going to try to let them have the opportunity to reinvest in the community. And help the people in Fall River, because, it's not the rich people that need the help. It's the people who in Fall River are eking out a living and trying to survive, and in a very, very difficult time. So I think it was good. So it was worth mentioning, and I told him, I texted him this morning and thanked him for showing up, taking time out of his schedule to come and and appear before the retirees. So
the one thing I like about Paul is he is very approachable. I've sent him text messages about issues that have been coming up and positions that they have taken. Again, insinuating that things are going on. He's not even mayor yet, and they're already saying he's doing things. And I'm like, get real. And the good thing is Paul already has answers to many of those questions, like the property value reductions at one of these facilities. He knew, and he went over it, and he found out why. And he said the same thing that I said when I answered that question. I said it was probably because of vacancies on the property, because commercial properties have multiple ways to increase or decrease the value of the property. If the buildings are vacant, the property value goes down. If they're full and people are in there working, selling things, whatever the case may be, the property value goes up. It's based upon if it's being used. It's not like your home, which is always being used.
Yeah.
And he knew that. He knew the same answer. He gave the same answers I gave. And I told him, I said, you know, you can check and see. I said the same things. It's very interesting. But they're already trying to pin things on him because I guess this property owner is serving Paul in some way on the transition team or something else. And that's fine. Just because you're serving on the transition team. I've served on transition teams, I can tell you now. Just because you serve on a transition team doesn't mean you're going to get any favoritism whatsoever. You're doing it out of the goodness of your heart to assist the city in moving forward, you hope.
No, yeah, you're right. And look, I've known Paul for a long time. And,
Yeah, you're a tennis buddy.
Yeah, well, yeah, we go back a long way. It's a personality thing. Everybody has their own management style. You and I are a little overly aggressive in some people's opinion.
No.
And I just believe it's passion. So we can put any kind of label. It's all labels. Who cares anyway? We don't. But Paul's personality he is a kind of a real mellow. He's approachable. And you and I have had discussions with Paul. We were on opposite sides of the school. We have agreed and disagreed, but that's one of the good things about Paul. I think that he will bring that to the 6th floor. He is approachable, and you can talk to him. That doesn't mean he's going to agree with you, and that's one of the problems with people, that they think that they begin to dislike somebody because they don't agree with everything that they want. And he has that right. He can disagree. And he has disagreed. He disagreed about the school. And we weren't disagreeing about education.
And he knew that as well.
And he did. And he never, it wasn't personal. And the thing about that issue was that we had a philosophical difference. And I understand that with Paul. Paul has been an educator his entire life. So to him, the only priority he had was to get a school built as an educator. And he didn't care about the override. It was secondary. His argument to us, and we saw it at every neighborhood, was that it couldn't be done. We believed it could be. It was done in other places. But with Paul, that was a secondary factor. On his priority list, it was building a school. On our priority list, an unnecessary tax increase was our priority. We felt that the school would be built. It was a legitimate disagreement on that point.
How dare us?
Nobody disagreed, but we can't be angry with them. It's like, well, you know, it's like, and that's the problem with most of these people. If they disagree with a politician, can do everything they want 100 times, and that's fine. On the 101st time, if they don't get exactly everything that they want, now they hate him, and and they're going to start throwing rocks at him. All I can tell you is, and like I said, look, you know, CJ and I, when we disagree, we disagree. We will, you know, anytime we disagree with Paul, we will be vocal, and we will be out front with it. We're not afraid to say it in front of a camera, in front of a city council.
In the paper.
Or in the paper or somebody's face. And the good thing about Paul is Paul will not hesitate to come and discuss it.
That's right.
He's not going to go run and hide or attempt some kind of political retaliation because we have a disagreement on something, because it will be a disagreement on policy, not personally.
Right.
And that's the thing about it.
Yeah, I get the impression of Paul as being a guy that you can sit down and argue with him over an issue, and then right afterwards go out for a drink.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, he put me on the transition team. I mean, that's like that's like sticking a fox in a hen house. They're going to let me look at the books of the city. I've already been looking and found all kinds of stuff, and as I did before, and when we got into the books in '91 and '08 and stuff, and I'm always looking at the books in the healthcare. But the reality is, I think he's the first mayor in my recollection that ever had two people from the public sector on a transition team in the finance area. He's got Joe Castro and I. Joe Castro's the current chairman of the IAC, because he's inactive, and Joe and I work very closely together. We're always looking at the numbers. We're always looking into the health care. And Paul called me about the health care when he was a school committee man, and there was a confusion about the health care. So, you know,
which I hope we've
I'm not, I'm not saying that, there's no doubt about it. He put me on there, and I'm going to give him my honest opinion on everything. And it may not be what they want to hear, or the other people on the committee, but that's just what they're going to get. And I'll be able to prove anything I say. I've already constructed a letter and sent it to them about some issues I have with the way that we've talked about it before. I don't have to, it's not a secret. They don't fully fund their share of the health care, which is fiduciarily irresponsible and illegal. The way they've attempted to always not skim from the retirement system. And I not only put it in writing, I gave them the numbers. And I will continue to research the numbers. But
how dare you, Chip? How dare you?
But look, it shows that, Paul is, he's an educator. He has to deal with parents. He has to deal with students. And he's got the personality that will make it. I mean, look, the zombies are going to hate. It's going to be like Never Trump. And whether you like Donald Trump or not, you can't tell me he does everything wrong. But that's what a Never Trumper believes. Anything he does is wrong, just because he did it. He can do exactly the same thing that Obama did, or Bush did, or Abraham Lincoln did, and it's wrong. And if he does something right that they can't refute, they never mention it. It's like it never happened. It's like when he made pet abuse a federal crime. I don't know anybody except a serial killer, because they normally are animal abusers when they're younger, or someone with deep-seated psychological issues that's for animal abuse. But you notice you never hear anything about it. We talked about it on the show, but nobody will say, well, I'm an animal lover and I'm a Democrat and I'm a far left-winger, but I got to give him credit. That's long overdue. No, they won't say it, and that's the problem. Like you said, all they're doing is attacking everything he's done before he's ever had a chance to act on anything.
Right.
He's not even the mayor yet.
Right. And that's the big problem. People already have a predisposed disposition on how he is going to handle city government, and that's just wrong.
Yeah. And if you don't, and it's because of people. And it doesn't matter, as we said, who's on a transition team, who is or who isn't. It's like you don't like the plumber, but you won't go to him because he's the best plumber in the world and he's cheaper. That's dumb. I'm sorry. It's just not, it doesn't make any sense. So, hey, you guys have a good weekend, and heavy rain over 2.5 inches they predicted in Fall River, around 3, could be even 4 inches. So we've got a hell of a storm coming in here.
Look for local ponding and local flooding, everyone.
So remember, stay angry,
and we'll see you.
And get your canoe out.
And we'll see you on Monday. It's always a pleasure to be in your house. Have a great day.